All right, so I woke up this morning and I had at least 30 people, whether it was on Blue Sky, email, Hey Cafe, Discord, and everyone told me that I needed to check out this report urgently. I mean, even my mom sent it to me. But this CTV report actually talks about a new metric that we should be looking at more, which is cell phone activity. If you follow my channel, you would remember a while ago that I did a report that talked about the drop in sales in prepaid SIM cards to the United States. Back then, it was about a 26% drop in sales for SIM cards, for the United States. But everywhere else was up. But right now, all we really have is the border crossing numbers, and they're really skewed because you don't know who is going for work, who is going for leisure, and there's also commercial that's mixed in there as well. But the overall mobile devices that are going to the United States, being on roaming or whatever, is drastically different than what we're seeing from the border numbers. So I'm going to go over this report and discuss this new metric that we've been given. I personally feel we need other metrics to be able to measure. Because right now, it's really only the border numbers and the feedback that we're hearing from US businesses and how they're suffering. So we're going to get into this report today, but before I start, I want to know how the hell this happened in Surrey, British Columbia. I mean, I know how it happened. I mean, here's the video. I mean, that's some pretty crazy stuff for even Surrey. Thankfully, the rider is okay, but what are the chances of it getting stuck up there? Anyways, I just wanted to show that for everyone back home. And someone's got to tell this guy he can't park there. All right, let's get started with the report.
Canadians may be avoiding travel to the United States more than we first thought, according to some new interesting research. The measurements that are commonly used to show the decline do come from border crossings, where Statistics Canada shows a dip of about 25%. But some new research out of the University of Toronto looked at Canadian cell phone activity in major U.S. cities. That told a different story, a median decline of 42%. The researchers are saying the new information reveals that border data doesn't capture the full extent of the drop, as well as the fact that when Canadians are traveling south of the border, they're visiting fewer locations and or staying for less time.
Now, I've always said that I wish we had better numbers. When I say better numbers, meaning that the border crossing numbers, I'm guessing they're between 30 to 40% right now, maybe 35%. But within those numbers, you still have the people who want to, still go to the United States. You have those that are going for work. Then you got the commercial travel as well. But using cell phone activity is just another metric. And if you ask me, it's not a foolproof method. Because it could be people that are using like eSIMs now, where your Rogers or Telus or Bell SIM cards are not active when you're in the US. But there are some data points in this report that I do want to share with everyone. So let's continue.
Karen Chapple is standing by. Karen was one of the researchers involved here. She's with the University of Toronto School of Cities, also a geography and planning professor. Thanks for taking the time. Much appreciated, Karen.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, so the takeaway here, 42%, much steeper than what we have been reporting here. Talk to us a little bit about the research, how you were able to determine this, sort of in layman's terms, if you can.
Yeah, it's a measure of Canadian activity in the U.S. So far, all we had seen from CBSA data was border crossings. But what we can do is look at what happens when Canadians go over the border and how many cities are they visiting? Are they maybe visiting fewer cities before, which is what we found? And are Canadians that were in the U.S. maybe for work?
Now, finding out what Canadians do once they cross the border, we've never really known. I mean, we know they cross in, we don't know what they do after that. But to have data like this to tell you that people have gone to less cities or they're not staying as long, if they're not staying as long or they're not going to as many cities, then it tells me that they're also not spending as much money.
Maybe for school? Are they coming home? And that we've lost some Canadian cell phone pings throughout U.S. metros, we think in part because the Canadians there have left. So it's not just about the ones in Canada making fewer trips. It's about folks coming home, too.
Yeah.
So who are these Canadians that are coming home and their ping is no longer in the United States? Well, possibly they could be the Snowbirds or other Canadians that used to stay long-term for, say, family or other reasons. But when I'm hearing this, I'm not really thinking about what they're doing down there or, how long they're there for. I'm actually thinking about how much they would have spent there. Because if a Canadian cell phone is pinging in the United States for, say, a month or even 2 months, or even like, say, for the whole Snowbird season, how much money did the United States lose from this one person? Just something to think about.
And how cell phone activity gives us a clearer picture of travel trends because we can sort of monitor it. Were you surprised, Karen, about the sharp decline?
We were surprised, yes, and then we started looking at where the drops were, and then it started to correlate with other things, economic factors. So, for instance, there's a big drop in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Who would have thought? We were very focused on the Snowbirds not going to Florida and the tourists not going to Las Vegas. But it turns out that perhaps the tariffs and trade dips have had an impact as well, so that folks from the auto industry in Ontario are not going across to Michigan as much as they were.
Now, I have a lot of friends in my inner circle that used to go to the United States a lot for work. And out of my 5 friends that used to go, none of them are going anymore. Some actually personally told their HR that they're not going to the United States anymore, and then others, their workplace actually mandated that they're not going to the United States anymore as well. But to relate it back to money, that would have been what? Flights, if they're using, like, say, United, hotels, whatever they get for their per diem, their spending. All of that is still money that would have been spent on the US economy, and that's not happening anymore. Now, I know my haters are going to say, whoa, it's just 5 of your friends. I mean, there's still a lot of people going. Like, shut up. Like, if you really think this isn't happening on a broader scale, I don't know what to tell you. I just really hate it when people nitpick every single little damn word I say. Anyways, I'm just venting.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. You mentioned cross-border, the kind of trips that you think Canadians are cutting back on the most, Karen.
Yeah, I think these are mostly economic related. So the trade ones are some of the ones we found, but I think what was most interesting was that the high tech and financial centers have also seen a drop. So New York, San Francisco.
And one of those cities is ones that my friend used to go to. And his cell phone ping is no longer pinging in that city. So if they're noticing a difference in terms of like business travel to these high tech cities, then I'm sure my friends are not the only ones. Having less Canadian cell phones in, say, Silicon Valley and New York tells me that business travel is down as well. Now, I haven't really talked about business travel too much because I've been kind of giving it like an exempt, same thing if you have to go to the United States for family. But it is good to see that these numbers are going down as well. Now, this is just Canada. I'm wondering what the rest of the world is doing as well. I mean, is there less business traffic from Asia and Europe? I'd love to see those numbers.
Dallas, Houston, and these are places where, for instance, BMO, CIBC, they have TD, they have offices there. People were working part of the time in Canada, part of the time in U.S., and maybe they've cut back on those U.S. trips. Another factor is conferences. People are cutting back on conference travel for work.
Now, we haven't heard very much about conferences over the past 15 months. I mean, I think the only time I heard about it was a SEMA event or something like that. And they claim that it did well. But if you think about all the other conferences that happen, I'm pretty sure the international visitors has gone down. Again, I would love to see the numbers on this.
Do you think this signals kind of a long-term shift, potentially, Karen, in Canadian travel habits to the States?
Well, we have to see. I mean, it's a draw, and the ties are deep, and families are split between the two countries, right? So, but if we can shift a good portion of our economy back to Canada and do trade with China and Europe instead of the U.S., then absolutely, this is going to be a sea change.
Karen, I appreciate you taking the time for us. Thank you.
Now, like I said, this is just another data point because there is still that factor of using eSIMs. It might just be something where Canadians are starting to use a lot more eSIMs because we know that Rogers, Telus, and Bell, their roaming packages are horrible. But the fact that she was talking about business travel, I mean, I don't know many companies that would be like, oh, go buy your own eSIM and that's, expense that. You either have a work-issued phone or a work-issued SIM, so really don't care about using an eSIM. So this is new to me, and if work travel is going down as well, hey, I'm all for it as well. So let me know your thoughts below. Do you think this new metric is helping to kind of give us a better picture on the true number of Canadians still going to the United States? I might have to ask our good friend Wayne from the Toronto Metropolitan University about this the next time we jump on a live stream, which we're hoping to make it a regular thing, maybe a once a month thing. So I'll give everybody a heads up the next time we're going to have a live stream. Now, The Guardian also did a write-up on this, and I'm going to read out a few points of it. But as always, if you want to read the whole article, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. Now, the researcher in the previous video was actually focusing more on the economic and work travel. But let me read this part out here. But the researcher said that the data also showed steep declines in Canadian visitors to cities and states such as New York, New Hampshire, Vermont. It also found declines in major tourist destinations such as Las Vegas and Walt Disney World, and to winter recreation areas, including Florida. typically a central destination for overwintering Canadians. Now, these destinations, maybe aside from New York, they're destinations that Canadians would have went to for short trips or when it comes to Florida, longer trips. I don't think a good majority of Canadians are going there for work. The researchers analyzed Canadian devices traveling to the US metro areas between April 1st, 2024 and 31st March 2026 as a potential explanation of why the 42% figure is so much higher than border crossing estimates. They noted that cell phone data also captured freight traffic, which border crossings do not, and could also track changes in Canadians previously living in the US who left. Now, this part actually kind of confuses me because if it's capturing freight traffic, are they separating freight traffic from the regular leisure and work traffic? If they are, then that would explain the 42%. I'm just not sure. Maybe I'm just reading it wrong. But let me know in the comments what you think about this. And do you think it gives us a better reading in terms of what the actual true traffic is going to the United States? Now, there's more to this article that I'm not going to read out, but if you do want to read it, the link will be in the description below. It is a lot of stuff that is repeated in the CTV report, but there's a few other things in there as well. I'm hoping in the future that we get more data points. I mean, border crossings is one thing. I don't feel is very accurate. Mobile data and SIM traffic, I guess that's better. But obviously the best one would be credit card spending, which I don't think we're going to get the numbers for those. But if anybody has any metrics that they want me to share with the community, by all means, send them over my way and I'll be happy to make a video about it. Now, the last thing I want to remind everybody is the petitions that I'm featuring on my channel. Two main ones that I'm featuring. The one on the left is sponsored by Elizabeth May, and it currently has 4,493 signatures at the time I'm editing this video. And this petition, the TLDR, is basically to get ICE and Homeland Security off of our Canadian soil. The one on the right, sponsored by Don Davies, is currently at 22,237 signatures. And this one is to have the outside interference from the US government reviewed when it comes to the Alberta separatist movement. For the petition on the left, you can clearly see when I started featuring it on my channel. And we got some good momentum, but it's starting to kind of tail off. So I do recommend that if anybody has not seen this petition yet, at least read it over. I'm not forcing you to. It is your own decision, but I'm just showing it to you. And the petition on the right is also starting to slow down as well. So let's see what we can do to get more signatures to both of these petitions. We have viewers internationally that say they would sign the petition if they could, but they can't because they're not Canadian citizens. So if they want to do it but they can't, then I think it's our right as Canadians to at least look at it. So the links for both petitions will be in the description as well as a pinned comment below. To close this off, I would like to thank Natalie for sending this photo of the Kluane National Park in the Yukon. I know I recently posted another photo of the Kluane National Park, and that one was from Adrian. But I don't get many photos from the Yukon and the territories, so I'm happy to feature them. So thank you, Natalie, for sending this over. Alright, that's it for this video. And don't forget to let me know your thoughts below if you think these new metrics are helpful or not. If you found any value in anything I said today, or you want to hear more from a Canadian and international point of view, without the US media bias, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button below. That way you'll be notified of my future videos. And if you want to see more of my videos, or you want to hear my cat, check out the other videos that are going to show up on your screen shortly. Thanks everyone. I'll catch you in the next one.